Like many kids that grew up in the 80s and early 90s, I loved the Disney afternoon cartoons, and of course the Disney Capcom related video games. And now there's a new compilation putting together some of the best of these Capcom Disney classics, the Disney Afternoon Collection. But is this a nostalgic thrill ride that's well worth taking, or is this nostalgia train going off the rails? The Disney Afternoon Collection is a compilation of 6 Capcom Disney-related games from the late 80s and early 90s. This includes DuckTales, DuckTales 2, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers 1, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers 2, Tailspin, and Darkwing Duck. These are all their original NES versions, fully intact, and even including glitches, slowdown from too many sprites on screen, and all the things you associate with these classic titles are all well and good here. In fact, they didn't even edit out the A and B button command prompts, still being included instead of changing it depending upon what system you're playing the game on. If you loved any of these games from back in the day, you're still going to enjoy it now. They play perfectly here on the modern system, and I didn't run into any problems as far as the core games and gameplay was concerned. You can decide if you want to play in the original aspect ratio, or stretch it, or full screen it, as well as you can turn on a couple of filters to make it look like monitor, or make it look like a classic TV, as well as turning on and off the borders. While DuckTales 1 and Chip 'n Dale 1 may be the most popular and well-known of these titles, and for good reason, I wouldn't sleep on DuckTales 2 and Chip 'n Dale 2 if you've never actually had a chance to experience them before. I've always really enjoyed DuckTales 2, even though not as many people got a chance to play it back in the day. The weakest of the bunch is probably Tailspin, the scrolling shooter that just doesn't quite have the punch that the other ones ended up having. Had an interesting control mechanic, being able to flip your plane upside down and go backwards through stages was very interesting, and it's still a fun game that I enjoy, just not as much as the rest. Darkwing Duck is probably the most underrated of these games in my opinion, with a fantastic soundtrack as well as great Mega Man-esque gameplay to a degree. Along with the 6 games, each one also has a time trial where you are of course timed, including splits, and it's exactly the way that someone would speedrun these games on something like twitch.tv, as well as there's also a boss rush mode where you're also timed, and it goes right from one boss right into the other. As soon as you land the killing blow, it instantly goes to the next, and of course these have online leaderboards, as well as you can race other people as well. There's a music mode where you can go in and look up all the soundtracks and play any of the songs you like from them and listen to them and enjoy them, as well as a gallery mode that has a whole bunch of promotional art, the old classic box art, some of the concept art, and all that kind of neat little cool extra stuff being included. The biggest added feature to this collection, though, is of course you're able to make a save state at any point that you want. Basically, you can save and pause the game at any time, then load back to that spot. But there's also the rewind functionality, where at any point during gameplay you can hit the rewind button, back yourself up before you missed a jump or before you got hit, and then continue playing the game from there. The boss rush and time attack modes do not have the rewind or save state features, so those have to be done with just the pure skill of being able to complete those classic games. From the technical side of things, all the games themselves ran fine and ran exactly the way I expected them to, but the menus and the like crashed on me on a couple of occasions, including one time where it completely locked up my system. While of course there's all the original soundtracks from these games included, there's also some added medleys of the songs when you're on the main menu for a particular game before you enter into the game itself, which I thought were actually quite nicely done, as well as I absolutely adore the Disney Afternoon theme song that is the main menu done in an 8-bit retro style. Love that. The Disney Afternoon Collection is available now for $19.99, and it is on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Steam. I do have one complaint though, and while I know many out there don't care about trophies, one of the added additions of buying games that I've played in the past is the cool little bit of extra little unlockables such as trophies, and they really dropped the ball with the PlayStation 4 trophy list in particular, featuring only bronze trophies, no platinum, and overall pretty lazy list, just having you beat each of the modes with each of the games. There were 6 amazing classic games. There could have easily been 6 full lists and platinums, though that was obviously a pipe dream, but come on, you guys could have at least put the effort in there to make a platinum trophy list. It would have been really fun, nostalgic, and enjoyable to go after those trophies. Overall, this is a pretty good compilation featuring 6 games that have not been re-released since the NES days. At least most of them have not been in any way, shape, or form. Now, of course, there could have been more added to it, such as maybe adding the Game Boy versions, as most of these games also had a Game Boy counterpart, or maybe a few other classic Disney games that could have been thrown in, though they wouldn't have been Disney Afternoon related. Who knows? Maybe just unlocking a few of them as little bonus stuff after completing all the other games. Overall, if you're someone who actually wants to get a version of these games without having to resort to emulators and ROMs on the computer, this is a good way to do so. Of course, most of these games have skyrocketed in prices, especially Chip 'n Dale 2 and DuckTales 2. And while nothing will beat the original cartridges and putting them in your system and enjoying them that way, at least this gives a cheaper option for people to relive these classic experiences. But with everything said, I'm going to be giving the Disney Afternoon Collection a 7 out of 10. But anyway, guys, it's going to wrap up this review. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.